This is music, and this is Mr. Unhealthy Codpiece Man and his gang of hairspray addicts. So in the first two videos on this channel, I showed you essentially 3 hauls, but I had sort of combined 2 of them. And a major component of those hauls were a lot of blind buys. Especially in the second video, there were a ton of CDs that were, most of them were actually blind buys. And there were even some blind buy vinyls as well. And I figured it would be kind of fun to make a couple of videos, you know, sharing my first impressions of those blind buys with you as I sort of make my way through listening to them. So, because one of the things I like about blind buys is sort of the excitement, you know, will I be let down? Will I be positively surprised? So the first impressions are always fun, I think, with blind buys. So I figured I wanted to share them with you in a couple of videos here. So the first one I managed to listen to is this one here, Monte Pittman, not Monty Python, Monte Pittman, and The Power of 3 is the name of the album. And what intrigued me about this one and made me buy it was that I've seen it listed in a couple of places as hard rock / thrash metal. I thought that's an interesting combination. I mean, it could work. I think it's Violent Playground. I think that's their name. They combined thrash and the blues, and of course Nuclear Assault have done that as well. So I figured thrash and hard rock, that shouldn't be, you know, too far-fetched. And this was, you know, in all honesty, one of the releases that I suspected that I might be let down by, but no, this is good stuff. Monte Pittman is actually Madonna's longtime live guitarist. He's also worked with Prong and actually a lot of other artists, both on the rock scene and the pop scene. So a very professional and experienced musician here. And this is one of his solo albums. And although he's a guitarist, we're not dealing with your typical sort of guitar wankery, shreddy stuff, although that's fun. But this is like a real rock album with vocals and all that stuff. It does have thrash metal elements to it. It does have hard rock elements to it, and it works. It also has, in my opinion, doom metal elements. It has alternative rock elements. It has even like some sludge to it as well. And the vocals are, I sort of associate the vocals with alternative rock and stoner rock even, and a bit of sludge. The songs are very well composed. They're like musical journeys. Most of the songs contain a lot of different genre elements to them. I mean, within the genres I mentioned. And it all comes together seamlessly. To my ears, it doesn't seem forced. So I was actually very positively surprised when I heard this one. And I look forward to giving it a lot more listens. So Monte Pittman, The Power of 3. The next one is one I need to give it more listens. It's not enough to just give this sort of stuff one listen. And I have only given it one listen so far. That's Threshold here. Subsurface. Progressive metal. The songs are not too long. I think the longest song is around 10 minutes, so they're not too long for progressive metal. This band go for a very melodic approach, so there's lots of melody. The vocals are, I associate the vocals more with a more hard rocky feel. So there's lots of melody. There are lots of nods to, you know, progressive rock. There's some parts that sort of remind me a bit of maybe Genesis, the keyboard parts. There's some epic parts as well, and there are also some really crushing and heavy riffs. And now one thing that you sort of that I have come at least to expect from progressive metal is, you know, a lot of odd time signatures, you know, and I personally really enjoy listening to that, but sometimes it can, you know, go a bit overboard. These guys don't do that. They have odd time signature parts, but they don't go overboard with it. So I would say for a progressive metal album, it's not a challenging listen as much as a lot of others are. This is, I think, an album that both like prog fans, but also like more casual rock fans might enjoy. So I think it's a pretty good album. I need to give it some more spins, of course, because it's prog or metal. So, you know, as I said, it's not enough to listen once to it. But so far, I enjoyed it. So far, I've been positively surprised. So another positive outcome. The next one I managed to listen to is Tank, Valley of Tears. And this is also good stuff. This is traditional heavy metal, old school metal, because this is, I mean, a legendary band. It goes way back. Apparently there are like 2 iterations of it now, because the original band kind of split up and you got into 2 tanks essentially. You know, I'll leave that up to them. Regardless, this is a great heavy metal and hard rock album. Good riffage, good production, a very modern sound, but traditional heavy metal. Nice hard rock vocals. And my favorite part is probably the guitar solos. They're very melodic. These guys know how to play their guitars, but they also know that shredding and guitar wankery all the time can be too much, and melody is sometimes the key. So lots of tasty guitar solos. So Tank, Valley of Tears, if you like traditional heavy metal with a modern sound, I think this should be right up your alley. So so far so good. And I also managed to listen to Swordmaster's Post-Mortem Tales. So it looks like this. Actually, I just listened to it like 10 minutes ago while I was putting together some supper. This is great stuff. This is black thrash, I would say. You know, really fast and furious thrash metal. Seems to me quite inspired by you know, the likes of Creator and, you know, Teutonic thrash metal. And I don't know, but I think these guys might be German too, but I can't be sure, which would make them a Teutonic thrash metal band as well, but I gotta double check. Regardless, fast, aggressive thrash metal with actually lots of blast beats. So they've taken some inspiration from grindcore as well, or maybe from, you know, because black metal, they use a lot of blast beats in black metal. There are also a couple of like black metal elements, I would say, beyond blast beats, but really good, fast, fierce, up-tempo thrash metal. I really enjoyed listening to this while cooking, essentially. Who would have thought that? So Swordmaster, Post-Mortem Tales, also good stuff. And that leaves us with this one here, with Mr. Unhealthy Codpiece Man and his gang of hairspray addicts. Madam X, we reserve the right. Now, so this one here is obviously very 80s, right? Very cheesy, so cheesy that I think I need to have my cholesterol checked having listened to it. I expected this to be so bad it's good, and it is. So bad it's good, but there are actually a lot of elements, much more than than I expected that were actually so good. They're good as well. There are actually some very good things on it. Now, obviously, you know, the visual aspect here, right? Very 80s, very cheesy. Makes sense because this is from 1984. This is what the back looks like. There's Mr. Unhealthy Codpiece Man. He's the bass player. And so we're dealing with musically, it falls somewhere in between traditional heavy metal, 80s metal, and kind of glam, sleaze, hard rock music. And the lyrics are terrible. The lyrics are outright stupid, to be perfectly honest. But, you know, who would you expect otherwise, right? But musically, there's some good things going on there. I would say that Maxine Petrucci here, she can really crank out some blistering guitar solos. And her picking hand and her picking speed is actually pretty incredible. That's breathtaking. So definitely, you know, there is some good musicianship going on. And there are lots, for the most part, it's the two guys who wrote the music, and they do understand how to write solid, not original though, but solid 80s metal riffage. You know, inspired by the likes of, you know, early 80s Judas Priest and so on and so forth. So there are actually lots of good riffs on this album too. And the drums have this, you know, really fat and big 80s sound, 80s rock sound. So that's also pretty nice. I think the lead guitar is a bit too low in the mix. I would have liked it to have been more, you know, louder and more kind of like, you know, in your face. But you know, what can you do? So actually a lot of good stuff in this album, but also lots of cheese. So there is a lot of so bad it's good on it as well. I mean, you have lyrics like, song titles like High in High School, right? Songs about not behaving well in high school, which is kind of weird when we're sort of dealing with, you know, grown-up people here. There is a song called Dirty Girls, and there's a song called She's Hot Tonight. Good with Figures, that's also kind of like a weird high school looking at girls song. Again, strange. So you have, you know, your cheesy, you know, sleaze lyrics, and there's also a lot of, you know, metal anthems. You have Metal in My Veins. You have We Want Rock. You have Stand Up and Fight. They're actually pretty good songs, all of those. The lyrics are, you know, less distasteful, I guess. And you also have a lot of party songs. I think sort of the hit from this album, I think, was Reserve the Right to Rock, which is... it's a fun song. I get a bit of a Slade vibe from it. So I mean, this is not a masterpiece. It's so bad it's good, but there are some surprisingly good parts as well. It's great, actually, guitar work, I think, from Maxine Petrucci, and some good riffage, also some bad riffage. Terrible lyrics, in my opinion, but overall it's cheesy and it's fun and uplifting. So I think if you find a cheap copy of this, you know, it doesn't hurt to pick it up. I actually enjoyed it. I like this album very much because it's so bad it's good. Very cheesy. So those were some first impressions from some of the blind buys, which I thought I wanted to share with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.